As governments and environmental groups approach the next climate change conference in Copenhagen in December, this report sets out the benefits for a company going green.
It can also mean cutting costs. If you put in energy efficiency measures, you cut costs. If you work on your reputation by being looked at as green and progressive, you can gain new customers. And so we actually found that it can be quite positive for a business to be sustainable. And in fact, if you're not sustainable in your operations, what it means that you could go out of business because you weren't looking ahead to the trends and to what people want. And that is that society reduces emission and prevents catastrophic climate change.
The academics in Oxford and Wuppertal concentrated on results for RWE, a German company whose power stations were shown to be a significant contributor to pollution in Europe.
They had to take this on because their reputation really suffered from this report, and they had to come up with a strategy for their company to move away from coal, even though at this point it's not imminent that there is regulation to move directly away from coal. So they're looking at new technologies such as carbon capture and storage, but also taking on renewable energy sources and moving into these technologies.
Their research prompted RWE to set targets for reduced emissions. The report authors say developing suitable programs is within the capability of any business. They highlight Asian economies, often held up as examples of contributors to pollution as their economies develop. But the picture is more complex.
We already see some companies in, for example, China actually leapfrogging technological development. That means that they're using better technology than we are even using. And it helps their economy in terms of being innovative and being leaders in a certain technological path. So it doesn't mean that they have to follow our path of economic development. They can actually have a different economic path that has lower emissions and yet better technology and more efficient technology. But we're seeing that in places like China. The governments, of course, are reluctant to sign that on paper, that they will commit to reducing emissions. And in a way, it makes sense that the CO2 that's in the atmosphere right now really has been produced by the industrialized countries.
The report urges that companies see themselves as part of the adaptation to climate change. This can apply to countries not in the front rank of industrial powers.
For the future, it's definitely better for countries like that to also use the best available technology, not outdated technology that produces a lot of greenhouse gases. When we look at countries like Rwanda and the Maldives that are actually committing to renewable energy, Tuvalu has now committed to becoming carbon neutral. So these countries are small developing countries, and they're saying enough of this, we need to change our mindset, and we're going to start right here. And we're not going to wait for other people to be the leaders.
Companies, regardless of their size, should take the initiative in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. The academic study expects regulation by government to increase, but this should be regarded as a business opportunity rather than a threat.